We are live. What's going on, everybody? Unicorn Finals are live today. We are missing a person. Jake is off doing his thing. He could not get away for a live session this morning. But Dan and I are here, and we're going to talk about a very important topic today, which is resume writing. Dan, thanks for joining, buddy. It's good to see you, as always.
You got it, buddy. Hey, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Dan,
I guess we have each other because we do this together. But,
yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is one of the benefits of Unicorn Finders being three people, right? If one person can't show, then the show can still go on, as they say.
Yeah.
Everybody,
showbiz, baby.
Yeah, showbiz. Nothing like. Anyways, everyone who's tuning in, at us, comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Would love to know, obviously, where you guys are at. Andrew, what's going on? Tay Live, good morning. Yes, that's a good nickname. That should be my new rapper name.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. Sounds very Miami, which I will be in Miami. Yeah, I'm gonna be in Miami in 2 weeks for my birthday.
So far, but so close.
I know. How far is the drive? How far is the drive?
4 hours.
4 hours. Nice. Well, if I get in trouble, I'll call you.
There?
Just hanging for my birthday on the beach.
That's the beach you picked, huh?
Yeah. Well, we always want to go. So, what's going on, y'all? We got some more people coming in. Aaron, what's going on? Unicorn Finders live this morning. Excited to be with you all. What's up, Suzanne? What's going on?
Suzanne's looking for a controller. Paying $175,000 that sits here in this beautiful town.
There we go. There we go. Pimp out your jobs. I love it. Julio, good morning. From Houston. Brian, good morning. Hope everyone has a great day. I like the music. Yeah, I like it. I dig it. I'm going to change a new song. Let's just see what else is going. Ooh, I like this one. Kathy, good morning. Rock this Wednesday. Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad to be a part of the 13. I tweeted something yesterday. It is a meme about the 13 people on social media that like my stuff. Kathy is absolutely one of them. So, Kathy, thanks for joining. All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's go and get started. Everyone, thank you again for tuning into Unicorn Finders Live. We go live Wednesdays at 9:30 Central. Typically, we're a threesome. We're a trio. Our buddy Jake Shepard cannot be here today. Jake is off just closing deals and being great. But the show must go on. So Dan and I are going to talk about something that is very important and that cannot be talked about enough. And I've talked about it on my live show, but Dan brings a whole nother set of eyes and thoughts and whatnot. So before we dive in, if you do not know Unicorn Finders, we are a podcast. Check us out, the unicornfinders.com, or we are in every podcast app thingy where we try to find the unicorn in business, people, relationships, and technology. But we go live once a week to just hang out as friends because at the end of the day, me, Dan, and Jake are good friends. And so we just want to hang out and talk a little tech to y'all. So before we dive in, Dan, give an introduction of yourself for people who are new to this show and who do not know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Dan. I'm down here in Tampa. I help companies down here find talent. A lot of my focus is on kind of senior level and director level CIO, CTO stuff, and then also do some consulting work on the side as well, trying to help them build apps, business intelligence, that kind of fun stuff. Outside of that, I'm a big wine guy. I like making memes. I have a Florida Gators podcast. I enjoy reading books. So that's me.
Dan and I are very opposite. We hate I hate reading, and Dan loves reading. That's why we're friends, because we have other things to talk about, which is basically sports. So
yeah,
a lot of sports. So we're going to dive in today about how to write a resume. I have thoughts. Dan has thoughts. Yeah. So we're going to go top down. So we're going to run through this in the next 10 minutes. So if you can watch us for the next 10 minutes, I think you're going to get some good stuff out of it. So let's talk about the top. Let's talk about let's talk about the name. Let's talk about contact information. Dan, what do you like to see? And kind of break that down.
So a couple things. One, it needs to be very clear and concise. Your name and some sort of contact information, right? Your email address, a phone number. And then where you live. I don't need your address. I just need to know about where you live. If you live in Tampa, put Tampa, Florida, and then put a zip code, right? It doesn't have to be your zip code. It can be just a generic zip code for the city that you're in. I'll be honest with you, we use systems that allow us to track resumes, applicant tracking systems. There's, search functionality within those, and we can only find you if you allow and avail yourself to be found. So if you don't have an address on there, I don't know where you are. So there's a chance that I can miss you. If I don't know your email address or I don't know your phone number, there's no way I can get in contact with you. And if I don't know your name, then it's going to be a very awkward conversation, right? So make sure that all of that is clear and concise.
Yep.
And set things up if you want, like for your job search. Like you can create a Google number for free. So it's not your personal cell phone number out there if you're worried about security.
That's a great thought.
And then if you're, wanting to keep your email address separate and away from everything else, create a job search email, and you can always forward it to your main email, right? So all of these privacy concerns can be easily mitigated.
Absolutely. We got a few more. We got one more. Thomas, thanks for joining, big dog. I appreciate it. And again, if you have questions, comments, or concerns about how to write a resume, please throw them up at us. We'll throw you up on the screen and talk about questions and I know you have questions. If you are watching, right. I know you have questions because everybody has questions writing a resume. And I think the big thing, to summarize what Dan said, please have contact information. And please make it visible. Make it visible. I have seen resumes that like the contact information at like the bottom left corner. Like I'm not going to see that. Like I'm not kidding. And so make sure top centered, make sure it's obvious. Let's go into the next thing, Dan. Let's talk about what should go next after the name, right? So the way my template goes is I have a summary about yourself, then professional experience. I know some people put education. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on how a resume should flow and what should look next?
I actually am curious on your thoughts about summary statements. I don't usually read them.
Interesting.
That's not saying that I don't think that they're valuable.
This is why we do this. This is why we do this.
No, and I want to hear. You don't have to justify. That's not what I mean. But I do want to hear more about like your justification of like what you put in that summary statement, or how that summary statement like differentiates from the rest of your resume. So what do you tell people?
So the summary, in my opinion, and this is again, I'm so glad Dan and I are talking about this because everybody has different thoughts on resumes, right? I'm not the right way. I've just seen what works for me, and so. The professional summary experience needs to be bullet pointed out, a summary of your skills and years of experience. Right now, again, I'm more on the engineering side. I get that. So it's like, let's say you've been in the .NET ecosystem for 15 years. And right, so I want to see 15 years of .NET development, 3+ years of .NET Core, 6 years of Angular, 2 years of Angular 2. That's what I want to see in the summary, because that is I'm immediately going to be able to like know what you do in that, right? What I don't like to see in summaries is long paragraphs and fluff words. I'm a great communicator and wonderful team leader. Yeah, I know you've been doing it for a long time. I figured you're all of that, right? What I want to see is like cold hard facts in the summary as a summarize of your entire career.
And I think it's okay. Taylor makes a great point. I think that if you struggle with putting something in there, like I would even say to not, right? Like unless you feel like you have good, like something real valuable to add. I mean, in my personal experience, like just 100%. Saying that you're a great communicator, a great member of a team, and you know how to use like Microsoft Office, it's like neat, right? It's like that didn't tell me anything, right? Because like I'm going to assume that everybody's going to say that they're a great communicator, great working with teams, great working in fast-paced environments, right? Like all of those buzzwords that you see on an HR like job description, like throw those out. Like, what can you give me? Hey, I'm a former C# developer that moved into React development, and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Like that's a summary. Me saying, hey, I have 10 years of experience. I'm a fast-paced, in fast-paced environments where I'm a quick learner, good educator, good communicator, and great team player. Like, neat, right? Like, I'm just going to move right down, right? So,
no, I love that. So let's continue to move on and keep the people interested. Let's talk about how to write the actual body of your resume.
Well, hold on. Let me talk. So
sorry.
so you have your summary statement. No, that's fine. What do you put next? You put your job experience next. You put your education, your tech skills, or if you have them, what do you do?
So name, summary, dive into professional experience. Unless you're young in your career, education go to the top, especially if it is a CS or like a technical degree. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about education stuff towards the end then. So the body of your work experience. Talk about that.
The body of your work experience. So I hate seeing tasks. Did this, did that, did this, did that, use this. I want to see, I'm fine with using the using verbiage, but for me, I want to see a project. I want to see your resume broken out by projects, not a bunch of tasks, right? So like, hey, the latest project is summarize at a 30,000 foot view of what you're doing, like you're describing it to your family. Right. For me, we always talk to people in our family differently than we do in our industry. Right. Dan, you and I can nerd out about what we do. My mom thinks I still build software. I don't. I find people who do that. Right. So that's what the first bullet point is. So recruiters can understand what you do. Then 2 or 3 specific bullet points around tasks and technologies that you heavily leveraged. And then the 4th or 5th bullet point needs to be the entire tech stack of that specific project. Now, I had this question yesterday when I spoke at Nashville Software School, is what's the difference between listing out the tech and then listing out your entire tech stack? This is, again, from a software perspective, you're going to touch specific technologies in a project differently, right? So one project may be more Angular focused and not as much backend .NET C# SQL, right? So you're probably going to post tasks around Angular and I don't know, other verbiage within Angular I don't know about, right? But then your tech stack for that project, you're going to list everything out because you're still going to touch it. You're still going to touch tech within that project. That's how I want to see your resume listed out. But Dan, I'm interested with you, especially with more senior level folks, especially in leadership, what you like to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're exactly right. You know, what you said at the beginning is I don't want to see a list of tasks. I don't want you to take what your job description was when you applied for that role and then just put that right into, your resume. Right. Because that doesn't tell me about what you did. That just tells me what the role was. Right. Did you fail? Did you succeed? Are you looking for a job because it didn't work out? And all of those skills or all of those things you are looking or that were in the job description you don't actually have. Right. So I like to see quantitative things. I like to see qualitative things. I want to see, hey, improved this, saved, this amount of money, helped leverage to accomplish this, right? Met a deadline, before it was due, or, we, built this out into completion and it launched on time and it did this, right? Like I want to be able to look back and on your resume when we're sitting down and talking, saying, hey, you're at Acme Widget Company and you were able to, deliver, this new piece of software, early that ended up saving your company $5 million. What was it? What did it do? How did you build it? What did you do to leverage, the people on your team? What did you do when you ran into issues, right? So the more that I know and the more of a story that I can build, off of that allows me to get a better and more holistic approach of, who you are as a person.
Absolutely. We had a few people trickle in. Jeff, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Julio, yes, just got my Google Voice number. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, I mean, Dan, that was a great tip. I didn't even think about that. Also, what's going on? Jesus, I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate it, man. All right. So we talked about the body of your resume.
Yeah.
What goes after the body of your resume? To me, it's technical skills, a recap of all the skills you have really worked on in your career. But I'm interested in your thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan, I want to interrupt you. Alex Nadell tuning in to Unicorn Finders this morning. Alex goes, avoid company jargon because people outside of your company don't know what those acronyms mean. Yes. Use quantitative numbers. Save money on X month contract leading 3 people building 5 widgets.
That's
Alex,
perfect.
Man, right. I can tell you've been in this for a little bit.
Yeah, that's why
Alex leads. He's a leader of men.
I believe Alex has been in this business for a couple months now, and he's
Months.
learning quickly.
He's
No,
been
but I
in
mean,
since
that's exactly right. I
early
mean,
life.
just to pivot back to that, what were you able to accomplish? What were you able to say? Because these are all things that companies are going to look for. And the more that I can relate to the work that you've done, it's, like Alex said, don't use jargon, but also that means that, in this business, that in the working world, there's a lot of people that are looking for people to move cross industry, or people want to move cross industry, but there's a lot of trepidation usually because they're just not sure. Hey, I need somebody that's in the automotive or transportation business, and you come from oil and gas. How does that transition over? It's like, well, this is what we were able to do. This is the problem that we solved. And you start to think about it. It's like, okay, well, I can see how that can relate, or how that experience, or you building that particular piece of software, or you solving this particular reporting problem, can fit back into our world. The more that you explain in terms of what you were able to do and accomplish, the easier it is for me to be able to, relate and consider you. But if all I see and hear is oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas, and I'm in financial reporting, like, it might be difficult for me to understand. So break down those walls, break down those barriers so that I can understand what you're doing, and, open yourself up for more opportunity.
I love it. Alex, thank you for that. All right. So as we wrap up here, let's hit quickly the last few things.
Hold on. Tech stack. What do you do again? I'm sorry.
Technical skills. Again, I'm more engineering, but just more, this could go anybody. Just specific tools and software that you're comfortable with, that you've done in your entire career. Again, the reason for this section is to get caught up in the Control F keywords that recruiters do. So it's just another place to recap all of your skills in your entire career.
Right. No, that's exactly right. Put things on there that you use. Be honest, right? If you're not very good at Excel, it's okay to not put Excel on your resume. If you're proficient at something, make sure you list it. If you've used multiple types of that software platform or that ERP system, list those on there. List where you have experience, list where you can add, but don't list things just for the sake of listing things, because I guarantee you, I'm going to ask about them. If you have something on there, I'm going to ask, right? I remember interviewing a guy 6 months ago, or 6 years ago, pardon me. And he's like, I have Jira experience. I was like, oh, sweet. What did you do? I was like, well, our company was looking to implement it, so I sat through the demo. It's like, you don't have Jira experience.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So just be honest, with that. And then I guess last, and I know we've got a couple of questions and I want to get to those. Education. I think that education is important.
Yeah.
I think listing your degree, if you have one, and be clear. It's okay if you say I went to the University of Florida and completed coursework towards X, right? Don't lie about your degree.
Yeah. Don't make it ambiguous. A lot of people make degrees ambiguous. It's like, do you have it? Do you not have it? Like, just be honest.
Just be honest. Okay. They're gonna find out regardless, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's now or whether it's through an education verification. There's probably a certain amount where you can list it, probably a certain, years of experience where you can list some things that you might have been able to accomplish in college. For instance, when, looking at new grads, and I'm just using myself as an example, I was a treasurer of my fraternity, right? That's somebody that had responsibility over a couple $100,000 worth of revenue or income, right? So like there's some skill sets that come, from that as well. But if you went to National Software School, if you went to wherever, list that on there, as well, and be specific.
I love that. And then the last two things, certs and education are kind of at the bottom for me, but cool. Awesome. All right. So we got a question.
And don't list certs if they're not active.
Yes.
Unless you can just pay money to get them back active.
Yes. Hey, Dan, real quick, and we're going to go long, but it's okay. I feel like we're in the zone. What are your thoughts on certs?
That's a whole nother podcast. I mean, I would say this, right? I would say
it is a whole nother podcast.
Do research on the cert. Look at the jobs that are out there if that cert is required. There's a lot of people in the certification business that are out there to make money. Yeah, ask a recruiter, ask people around that are in the industry. There's a lot of certifications that are out there and a lot of people charging a lot of money for certifications that don't mean much, right? And I'm not dogging them or dogging this certification, but there's one for a certified internet recruiter.
I'm an internet recruiter.
And people are paying like $800 or $1,000 to get this certification. I've never once seen a job that says you need to be a certified internet recruiter. Right. So there's a lot of things out there. I always say, if you're in the tech world, things on the hardware side, your networking, your systems, et cetera, would probably carry a little bit more weight than your QA or your development certifications.
All right, let's go ahead. Guys, thank you for the questions. We're going to dive into this. So if you have questions, please add us, comment. Pedro tunes in. Pedro, thank you for tuning in. As a 32-year-old, I've never worked in software, graduated engineer degree, but worked in sales, own and sold retail businesses. Congrats. 2020 was to build personal projects. Should I put those on my resume? Yes. And here's my thing. If you were trying to, and I'm interested in Dan's approach, if you were trying to get into software, I would not even notate them as side projects. If they are not projects for a client, you probably need to list them as side projects. But if you have a friend and you're volunteering an hour to 5 hours a week building a Shopify plugin, you need to put that as professional experience.
Yep.
Thoughts, Dan?
No, I mean, I think that you're exactly right. Figure out ways to leverage what you're able to do in your retail business, right? Yep. There's things that are in there from if you're looking to get into software from a requirements gathering perspective, building things, troubleshooting, all of those things are important, right? I mean, own what you did. It's who you are. It's part of your story. So own that. Try to figure out a way to, to mold it towards, the job that you're interested in. But certainly owning a retail business is a ton of, cross training to being in software and developing a product. You did that. You did develop a product. It was your company, right?
Right. Another question. Hey guys, how would you describe personal projects on your resume? Yeah, just like we talked about. I mean, I think if it's with a friend, if it's with an actual client or person, that needs to be under professional experience, not side projects. If it's just for you developing your skills, yes, side projects. That's how I would notate it.
I had go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had a guy that was interviewing for a CTO role, and it's a bit more of a hands-on, CTO role. And he got an interview specifically because of his side projects and side work. Yeah. Because his role at work that he's in now isn't very hands-on, but he's still on the side doing custom app dev and working with his customers or working with, friends and things of that nature to create things. So he's still close to the technology. So list that as long as it's, relatable on there, especially like as Taylor said, as you're building out your resume, if you are getting paid and you are building something for somebody, that is professional experience.
Yeah. I think, that happened to me as well. I had a candidate get a look for a job because he has a side project for a company where he's volunteering his time deploying to Azure with Azure SQL and all that jazz. And he got an interview because of that project that he has on his resume. Yep. So it works. A few more questions. I love it. I love these questions. This is great. Dan and I just hanging out on a Wednesday together, just answering questions. I love it. Coffee, I need more coffee too. Andrew, would boot camp certificates fall into the category you're talking about? About
education.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes. You need to put it. Absolutely. But I'm going to go one step further. Typically, boot camps have a project like National Software School has like capstone projects. I would notate the capstone project as your real experience because I know that those students at National Software School, it's a lot of work. I mean, it is a full-time job. So I'm cool with you notating your, I know I'm kind of contradicting me right now, but within software school, if it is a heavy lift, like a lot of hours a week, I'd put that as professional.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's important, right? That's who you are. It shapes you. Put that. I would put it under education, right? Not just a certificate because I don't want it to get lost, right? I mean, that is education. Yep. Boot camps are expensive. They're fully immersive, and that to me is what education is, right? Like it's not a 4-year degree, and that's fine, but you also just spent the better part of 600 hours focused on accomplishing something, and that's to learn how to code, which is a lot of experience and a lot of time. So absolutely, I'd put that under education. A couple other things, Taylor, if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to add them in there. Let me hit on a couple pet peeves, and I want you to add any that are in there. One, make your font uniform, like throughout your resume, like in the different sections. Like, I'm not saying make your name, the exact same font as you describing your job at Acme Widget Company, but like for everything that's in the body of your resume, make it the same font, make it the same bullet points, make it the same margins and justifications and everything else. Like, it's sloppy, right? This is a document that you create, that you put out there to say, hey, this is the best version of myself on paper. And there's typos, there's, Arial, Times New Roman, Comic Sans, Webdings, font all over your resume. Just, it takes 2 minutes. Like, if it has a little red squiggly line under it, or a blue squiggly line, or a green squiggly line, like, click it, see what it says, right? If it doesn't look like it's justified, all the same, like, do Control A, it highlights the entire thing, and like click that like right justification button or left, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like, it's frustrating to see a document from somebody that says, hey, I spent X amount of time putting all this content in here, and then to lose it because they didn't want to just change the font.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, I think you need to be OCD when it comes to your LinkedIn profile and your resume. I mean, that is it. I mean, especially right now, you can't go to conferences, you can't go to meetups anymore. Like, your online presence and your LinkedIn and your resume is your, like, that's it. Like, yep. that is how people judge you. So you have to be OCD when it comes to that. So I agree.
Absolutely. And I say this about resumes and LinkedIn. And I say this about your social media. This is the only spot where you get to control the entire message about yourself. Make sure you're putting out the best message that you can about yourself, whether it's so anything else.
Kathy, thank you again. Great information, guys. Hey, we appreciate you, Kathy. I appreciate you tuning in.
There's no length limit. There's no I'll be there in 1 second. There's no length limit. There's no just tell your story, shape your story. You can put the music back on. I feel like I'm getting walked off the Oscars here.
You are.
There's no length limit, but be smart is the information I'm putting on there to matter. Use less art. Use a portfolio for art.
Yeah.
Use more text. And then 3, don't feel like you need to be like this buttoned up wearing a tie person. Like, you can have fun on your resume.
I love that. Dan, today was good, man. So these things are supposed to go 15 minutes and we went 30. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for the questions. We'll be live again next Wednesday, 9:30 Central. Y'all have a good one. Dan, have fun in Tampa, and we'll talk soon, okay?
We'll see you soon.